Hey, what's up guys, we're back with What If Naruto Was Raised by Itachi. Enjoy. Chapter 12. Trapped disclaimer. Subscribe, okay. Run that by me again. Because it sounds like you want to. Remove Kyuubi, shouted Naruto as he was re-evaluating the sanity of these people. Guardians. Yes, we wish to remove Kyuubi from you. It is because of Kyuubi that you cannot obtain true sage mode, and because of that, you will have the strength to become champion. Stated Iroh, sitting cross-legged along with the rest of the guardians across from Naruto. Namikaze was laying next to Naruto, having shrunken down to roughly 15 feet tall, which apparently was the smallest he could get. Naruto looked at Namikaze, who stated, I believe that it is in your best interest. A true sage has more power than a Jinchuriki does. But why do I even need to become a true sage? I have the toad mode. Stated Naruto, though the more he thought about it, the more he agreed. The toad mode is a drop in the ocean compared to the true sage mode. Stated Ra. With toad mode, you are only connected to the surrounding area, which can only offer so much nature chakra, and it is not pure, leading to the transformations that you suffer, most likely the change in eyes, the area around your eyes and the time limit, or if you have yet to master it, a bulbous nose and webbed hands. Sue, what exactly does becoming a true sage entail? Asked the young blonde. Being a sage offers abilities and other increases in attributes. True sage mode brings your body, your senses and everything else to its highest possible point, but with only one adverse side effect, that being that once activated, you must completely stop the flow of nature chakra to deactivate it. Much like if you were to master Kyuubi's chakra, you would gain an outrageous boost, but true sage mode is self-replenishing. As long as there is life on Earth, you will always be at 100%. Stated Gaia, if I remember correctly, the last champion could even suffer from sure death causing wounds and be healed before they were even completely formed. Naruto was staring at the giant toad in awe. So you basically run at my body's max with no side effects, and it's self-sustaining. Isn't that kinda cheap? I mean, it's almost like I can never lose. Exactly. You are to be the champion of Earth. Until you somehow die, most likely of old age, you will be the absolute power. Stated Rock, absolute power is only good for corrupting absolutely. Stated Naruto with a frown. Which is why we have picked you. The reason you were picked is because of your pure heart and pure mind. We understand that you are still not complete, which you must fix before you are granted the powers of the champion, but until then, we will train you as best we can. Stated Rock, besides, it takes time for a body to adapt to nature chakra. Plus you still need to maintain your body, otherwise sage mode will grow weak. It is not as if you will become a god overnight, it will take years from this point onwards to reach that level, plus you cannot stay in true sage mode indefinitely, or else you will grow weaker. But what if when we reunite, I become dark again, like I almost did last time? Questioned Naruto quietly, fearing the answer to the question. Before he had separated from his dark side, he had begun to grow violent and his thoughts were always on the darker side. A pure heart is pure. No matter what darkness is introduced to a pure heart, it will remain pure unless the mind wills it to do so. Right now, as long as you remain strong, the only thing accepting your dark side would do is complete you, and let you access all of your power, instead of the half that you control now. Stated Ra, placing a hand on the young man's shoulder. But enough of that for now. Let us begin removing Kyuubi. Stated Iroh, you still haven't told me how that's going to work. After all, it's common knowledge that people died when their Biju extracted, why would I be any different? Questioned Naruto, trying to force the fear of becoming whole again down into the pits of his mind. But there are two problems with this. 1. The Uzumaki are outrageously strong spiritually. As you know, for example, your mother survived an unsealing after she had just given birth to you. Uzumaki life force is otherworldly, to the point that they can live for incredible amounts of time. 2. The reason it kills most Jinchuriki is because they suffer from a hemorrhage of chakra after their coils are forced to expel the demon chakra. You will not have that problem, as you can just instantly fill your coils with nature chakra, protecting them from hemorrhaging. Informed Ra. This is going to be painful. Isn't it? Extremely. With the Mizukage, Yagura-sama, are you sure it's a good idea to be leaving? The bloodliners will see this as a sign of weakness. Stated a long, black-haired man wearing a blue robe and a Jonin vest. It is fine Utakata. They are weak right now with the injuries to Zabuza and Terumi. Besides, their spirit will be crushed when their secret benefactor in Konoha is killed. Stated Yagura. Besides, we won't be risking any men, the only ones going are you and I. With the rakeage, I don't like this bro, Konoha is still ready for Mo. It's foolish of you and Miss 2 to go. Stated Killer B. B, shut up and listen. I have a plan after all. Stated A, I have no plan to attack Konoha. My duty in this attack is to help kill Hiruzen. And I have far too much respect for the man to kill him in any way other than a one-on-one fight. So what is your plan then, Uncle A? Questioned Yugito. Simple. I'm going to fight Hiruzen, but if anyone tries to kill him, I'll stop them. I owe that man after the council fuck up our relations and he didn't retaliate. I will fight with him if I must. After Kiri and Sand attack, the treaties will be broken and we will align with the Leaf. Stated A. Seems good to me, but what will you do about the young Namikaze? Orochi said he was just as fast as his old man. What if things get out of hand? Question B. Simple, I'm going to test his speed. I have no ill will against the boy for anything his father did. With the cage, this is foolish father. To attack the Leaf is a horrible idea. You must understand that we do not have the power to face the Leaf head on, and Orochimaru is only going to leave us out to dry. Stated Gaara, his anger showing clearly on his face. I am your cage and you will do as I say. You are my soldier, and my weapon to command as I wish. Just because you've behaved yourself these last few years doesn't change the fact that you are Sun's weapon. Now leave my sight, I've had enough of you using your brain. I made you to be a weapon, start acting like it. Stated the cage harshly. If you attack Konoha, you will die, just as will Orochimaru. If you do attack, don't expect any help from me. Day of the Chunin exams, Cage Box, welcome Cage Dono, Raikage Dono and of course, you too, Mizukage Dono. Stated Sarutobi as he watched all three men take their seats, their bodyguards at their sides. Greetings Hokage Dono, it's been far too long. Though I'd be lying if I didn't say I'd rather see Minato sitting where you are. Stated the Raikage, an extremely muscular man by the name of A on his side, Yugito Ni, the Nibi Jinchuriki, was busy examining the other cage. I agree with you, A my successor was a once-in-a-lifetime shinobi. Stated Hiruzen as he moved to the Mizukage. How are you doing Yagura? I haven't received word from you in a very long time. I'm doing well. Though you look like you're turning into the final stretch. Joked Yagura, his boyish face showing a kind smile. At his side was a black-haired man wearing an odd blue robe of some sort with a vest under it. I believe you may be correct, though I'm not the god of shinobi for nothing. I bet I could handle you young ones well enough. Smirked the old Hokage. Both A and Yagura had to nod at that. Hell, they would see for themselves soon enough. I believe you are becoming slightly senile in your old age, Hokage Dono. We are not cage for nothing you know. Stated Graham, the cage. On either side of him was a masked guard. Be that as it may, I believe the reason we are all gathered here today is to watch some fighting, not to do it ourselves. Smiled the old man. Now, perhaps we should start the matches. Arena floor. At the center of the arena stood Shikamaru, Shino, Neji, Gaara, Kankuro, Samui, Sasuke and Jake. In front of them stood a weasel-masked Anbu, seeming staring at the wall of the arena. Let's see how far from gone you are, foolish little brother. Hopefully Asuma and Guy can keep you away from Orochimaru while I deal with the Six Tails. Thought Weasel, also known as Itachi. Naruto-kun seems comfortable. The crowd began to grow restless as the minutes ticked down to 9 o'clock, the marked start time. As the clock hit 9, Sarutobi spoke. Welcome, to the 24th annual Chunin exams. The matches go until the proctor declares a winner, or until someone can no longer fight. Now without further wait, let us begin. You still got it old man. Came a voice from behind Sarutobi. Jiraiya, what a pleasant surprise. I was expecting Naruto to be my guard today. Stated Hiruzen as he sat back down. Nah, kid said something about wanting a better view and asked me to do it. I think he's with the Demos, after all, you know how much Madame Shijimi likes him. Stated Jiraiya with a laugh. Sarutobi shivered. It's a good thing he's in such great shape. Otherwise he might end up with a broken spine. Arena floor, you heard Hokage-sama. The rules are the same as last round. You fight till I claim a winner or one of you cannot fight any longer. Any questions before we begin? Asked Weasel. Where's our last proctor? Gamma? Questioned Sasuke, looking around the stadium for the toad-masked Anbu he knew to be Naruto. I believe Gamma was sent out to relieve a ninja from our post on the border of lightning about a month ago, haven't seen him since. Now if there aren't any more questions, stated Weasel, seeing none. Would Sasuke Uchiha and Jake Srigor please remain here? The rest of you are to head up to the participants booth. You know Uchiha. I've wanted to fight you since I found out about you. I hope you can deliver. Stated Srigor. Most of the crowd was silenced by that. Some no-name from Kumo had just insulted their prized Uchiha. A month ago, I would have gotten mad at that comment. But I've found some things out recently that have changed my outlook, but my answer is still the same. You will fall to me. Stated Sasuke as he fell into the Uchiha interceptor stance. Match 1, Sasuke Uchiha vs Jake Srigor. Begin. Sasuke shot out at Srigor with high Chunin speed, throwing a combination at the bulkier boy. Srigor responded by weaving between the blows and following up with a few of his own, landing a punch to the Uchiha's chest, forcing him back. He must be a close-range fighter. He's experienced and downright deadly with weapons and he can land hits when I'm not using my Sharingan. I better start attacking from a distance. Thought Sasuke as he activated his Sharingan and started weaving through hand seals, fire style. Grand Fire Dragon. Earth style. Earth Dragon Bomb, shouted out Srigor as he expelled an equally large dragon that collided with the fire dragon, leaving a molten puddle of rock in the middle of the arena. I'm impressed Uchiha. Any other fun moves you know? Taunted Srigor, stretching out his back without a care in the world. HMPF. A clanless loser such as yourself could never come close to my power. Let's see how you handle the power of the Uchiha elite. Lightning style. Sparking Spear Arm. Sasuke's left hand became coated in sparking lightning chakra, which extended to a point that reached out about 6 inches in front of his knuckles. Ah, how cute. 6 inches huh? I bet you make all the girls scream, or from what I hear, guys, stated Srigor with a smirk. Suddenly, wind began swirling around him, growing into a whirlwind before it seemed to suction to his body. Let me show you the power of the elements. Wind style. Armor. Cage booth. Well. Seems someone's been busy. To think that a genin has reinvented a cage classified jutsu. Makes me think that you might be training him yourself. Stated Sarutobi with a smirk to the Raikage. As amazing as it may be Hokage Dono, I've yet to teach him anything. Stated as he stated down at the mysterious boy known as Jake Srigor. Remarkable. Arena floor. How does some no-name like you have 3 elements? Questioned Sasuke, getting steadily more pissed as he spent more time near the Kumo Nin. It's simple Uchiha, you're not the only one here with a Kage Genkai. Stated Srigor as he disappeared from sight, causing even the cages to struggle to keep up with him as he landed hundreds of small blows on the Uchiha. This wind release armor protects me from most lightning attacks and allows me to move at incredible speeds by letting me move with no wind resistance. If I put enough chakra into the jutsu, I can use the wind to increase my speed and even change direction in midair. Sasuke held his ribs as he stared at the Kumo Nin with hatred. Even with that jutsu, you will still fall to my Sharingan. Since you're using your Sharingan, I'll use my Kage Genkai. Stated Srigor seriously. Though Sasuke had a problem with this. Ha. Like some no-name like you could have a Kage Genkai. And even if you do, it's only because your slut mother had so many savages inside her that has happened by sheer dumb luck. Stated Sasuke with a confident smirk, his Sharingan activating. The whole of Konoha suddenly fell victim to an indescribable amount of killing intent. Most citizens were reminded of the Kyuubi attack, while all the ninja were on high alert. Only Sasuke saw Srigor's eyes change from their cold blue to blood red, white rings radiating out from the center. Everyone listened with rapt attention as the Kumo Nin spoke. I don't care if I made a promise, you die today for insulting my mother. Proctor. I am going to kill him. I suggest that you and every other shinobi here stay out of my way. Everyone was speechless. This, no name, had just declared open war on a Leaf Nin. All the rookies minus Shino and Shikamaru were visibly angered by the Kumo Nin's statement, though their senseis seemed to be neutral, or in Gay case, silently rooting for the Kumo Nin. You're lucky Uchiha. I've never resorted to using this. But your death means enough to me that I will make it assured. Suddenly, a glowing, bluish-silver magma started to form around Sragor. This is my Keke Genkai, or more accurately, my Keke Tota. I combine wind, earth, and lightning to produce the most powerful element known to man. And you're going to be the first to fall to it. Plasma style. Armor. Cage booth, plasma style. It's the same way Unoki makes his dust release, stated the Kage in shock, matching that of all the other cages. For one so young to make a Keke Tota, he must be far stronger than he appears. The only known Keke Tota are the chaos release of the second Uzukage and the dust release, and that single-handedly made Mu the second Tsukikage. Stated Jiraiya in awe. How could I be so blind? With that kind of power I wouldn't even need the Sharingan, though one of the Kazekage's bodyguards. I'm sorry to say this Hokage Dono, but your Uchiha is going to die. The last man to insult Jake's family was cut in half slowly from the bottom up. Stated the Rakage. Quite the temper that boy has. Stated Jiraiya. Jake. You've actually mastered it. I'm sorry that I'll have to cut your time on this earth short. Arena. Prepare to die Uchiha. There's nowhere you can run and there's no one you can hide behind. Plasma style. Impulse laser. In Sragor's outstretched palm, a small bluish silver ball formed. Fire. The small ball rocketed towards the last Uchiha, who switched with a log as fast as he could, leaving a fist-sized hole in the log, and the wall 30 feet behind it. Seems you actually have some skill Uchiha. But I'm a generous man. I'll fight you on your terms. Close range hand-to-hand combat. Sasuke was panicking. This was no longer a fight, he was being hunted, and the more he thought about it, the more didn't make sense. This is insane. He has more killing intent than the Dobi. And his eyes changed. Now they look like the Rinnegan, but red instead of blue. Does that mean he can use the same abilities? And is he of any relation to him? The audience was watching intently, the civilians fearing for the Uchiha's life, the ninja fearing having to stop the rage-fueled plasma warrior. Demo box, Naruto-kun. In your honest opinion, how strong is he? Questioned the fire Demo, who was sharing the booth with his family. Strong. A Keke Tota is very different from a Keke Genkai, as you don't truly need to be born with the ability, you can develop it, much like the line of Tsuchikages. With combining earth, lightning and wind, as he claims, he has combined the two most offensive elements with the most defensive. In short, he has an element at his disposal that is stronger than anything seen before. Stated Naruto, his eyes glued to the match. Boss. I hope you're right about this. Can you stop him if need be? Asked the Daimo's son. I believe so. Stated Naruto, unlike the lightning release armor, it seems that this plasma armor doesn't increase his speed at all, just the power of his attacks. Arena Sasuke thanked the Lord for his speed training and his Sharingan as he dodged another blow from the rage-fueled Kumo Nin. Dodge this Uchiha. Plasma style. Impulse Spear Dragon, shouted Sragor, as he finished saying the name of the jutsu, his palm once again began to glow as a small cone was formed. See you in hell Uchiha. A bluish-silver dragon exploded out of Sragor's hand, moving at near instantaneous speeds toward the Uchiha. The dragon hit home, engulfing the Uchiha. Not even a scream escaped the dragon as it appeared to vaporize the Uchiha. Only a few saw a yellow flash appear next to Sasuke, grabbing him and flashing away again, landing roughly 10 yards away from the enraged Kumo Nin. It's over. Most citizens were shocked that Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze had just saved the last Uchiha, though they were very grateful, even as Naruto knocked the Uchiha out and tossed him to the proctor. That piece of shit deserves it. You shouldn't have saved him. Now I will have to finish it later. Stated Sragor angrily as he disappeared. Winner by external interference, Jake Sragor. Called out the weasel-masked Anbu, handing Sasuke off to the medical nins, telling them to tie him down. It's a good thing you got there in time Naruto, I would hate to see you kill my little brother. Cage box, there's that Konoha loyalty. Stated with a smirk. Yes. Though the raw power of Kumo has shown through well. Stated Yagura, I believe it's time for the main attraction. Stated Graham. Suddenly, the men of either side of Graham jumped to the roof, followed by Graham, Yagura, and Sarutobi. I believe you are all plotting together here. Don't you think it unfair to team up on an old man? Questioned Sarutobi with a smirk. A purple barrier sprouted around the 5 men, locking them inside its walls. A barrier technique. It's been a while Orochimaru. To think you have gained the support of 3 villages you were plotting against just a few months ago. The last Suna bodyguard revealed himself, his pale skin and yellow eyes showing just who he was. Hello Sarutobi-sensei. Pleasant day to die, don't you think? Sarutobi's eyes gained a dangerous gleam as he was covered in a shroud of smoke. Oh, what are we going to do with you, snake face? Orochimaru's eyes widened to outrageous proportions as the voice changed from the deep and calm of his sensei into the cheery voice of the one man he hated more than anyone else. Brat. The smoke cleared, revealing grinning, young, blonde-haired man. His blue Rinnegan eyes on display. In the flesh, pedo. And just so you know, Jiraiya has already subdued Yugito. Itachi is confronting the Six-Tails Jinchuriki as we speak, and Gaara. Well, he's been on my side all along. It matters not, brat. Today you finally die and then I'll be free to kill Sarutobi-sensei as I please. You may be talented, but you can't stand up to 4 level ninja by yourself. Stated Orochimaru. Naruto let the genjutsu over his eyes fall, revealing dark orange pigmentation around his eyes. His blue Rinnegan now had golden ripples. A ninja is nothing against a sage. Both A and Yagura, along with Orochimaru, began to sweat. A sage was said to be beyond even a Jinchuriki. If a Jinchuriki became a sage, it was unknown how strong they could become. Orochimaru knew that it was being a sage that allowed Jiraiya to without a doubt surpass him. And now it seemed that the brat had learned Toad Sage mode as well. However, before anyone could so much as pull a kunai, Naruto felt a blade at his throat. Behind him was none other than Jake Sragor. Nice try, but this is over. You should have let me kill the Uchiha. Chapter 13. Plasma Style Unleashed. Nice try, but this is over. You should have let me kill the Uchiha. Stated Sragor as he pressed the blade into Naruto's throat. Sragor. What is the meaning of this? This is not your fight. Stated A, worrying his plan would be ruined and a war would break out between Kumo and Konoha. This doesn't concern you. This was put in motion before I was even a ninja of Kumo. Now if you don't mind, I have a debt to repay. Stated Sragor seriously as he held Naruto by the back of the head, holding his blade in place at the Namikaze's neck. We know that I'd never allow that. Whether or not he deserves death for insulting her, we made a promise to keep him safe unless he was too far gone. Maybe I would have let us kill him before that day, but then again, that's the whole reason I did what I did. Stated Naruto. Flashback. Naruto-kun, you must face your dark side. I was forced to do this when Shisui had me kill him, and it made me immeasurably stronger when I had overcome my darkness. Stated Itachi, leading Naruto through a forest. Are you sure you can hide this from Raikage-sama? It ain't gonna be a bother. I got the perfect cover. Raikage likes when I'm on this island, it makes him less violent. Stated B as he lead them towards a large pool at the base of a waterfall. At the center of the pool was a small patch of dry land. Go sit in that small patch of grass, then you can kick your dark half's ass. End flashback. You always were foolish. Perhaps if you had been smarter you could have won the last time we fought. Stated Sragor, his voice beginning to slightly distort. You are nothing but a child. You may have earned my respect that day, but even still, you remain a child. Enough of this banter. I came here to kill Sarutobi, and I will kill him by the end of the day. Now let's kill Namikaze and move on, shouted Orochimaru, tired of being ignored by everyone, who all seemed swept up in the banter between the two young ninja. Until recently, I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but it's time became the man I am supposed to be, and it's time I put away childish things, stated Naruto as he began to glow. Sragor smiled and started to shrink in height. His hair became brighter and his eyes became red with white concentric rings. Whisker marks appeared on his face and his face morphed into that of Naruto's. Good, you finally understand, you need me. What the fuck going on here? Questioned A, his confused expression mirrored on everyone else watching's face. Flashback. Mindscape, why are you stronger than me? You're an imposter, shouted Naruto, looking into the purple and black eyes of his dark half. He had been slowly losing ground in their fight, and was quickly on his way to losing control. Simple. Too much has happened in our past. The beatings, the scorn, the general mistreatment, but the real reason I'm stronger than you is because we saw that woman die for us, tossing her life aside for no other reason than she was a good person. It was that day that I grew stronger than you, and other than separating from me, we will never become equal. You will always lose to me. No. You say that the only way to beat you is remove you. Then so be it. Rinnegan art. Creation of all things. Separation, shouted Naruto as his Rinnegan began to glow and pulse. Outside world. Ga! Cried out Naruto as he began convulsing in pain on the small island in the middle of the water. Itachi moved to jump to his side, only to be wrapped up by a tentacle. He glared at B, only to see the older Jinchuriki staring at Naruto. Itachi turned back to Naruto, only to panic as he saw a spectral figure begin to emerge from Naruto's stomach. What's happening? Is this normal? Questioned Itachi, refusing to remove his gaze from the hand, arm, shoulder and head dragging its way from the blonde's navel. As the figure fully emerged from Naruto, it stood tall, matching the Uzumaki in height, hairstyle, features and even cloths. You fool! You've weakened us both, shouted the figure, his red and white eyes burning in rage. Naruto forced himself to his feet, standing roughly 5 feet from the entity that just emerged from his gut. I don't care. I won't let you take over me. Now the only way you can hurt me is in a fight, and you don't have my Rinnegan or Kyuubi's power. Your Rinnegan. We were given those eyes by the white-haired stranger. Now you use them to run from your past. You're nothing but a child, yelled the dark Naruto, and what am I going to do? I already know I won't be traveling with you and Uchiha. Don't you worry dark half, I got yo back. Though we gonna have to give you a new identity that can't be confused for anyone else in the pack, stated B. Oh great. I guess that means I'm stuck in Kumo then, right? The same assholes that tried to kidnap our mother and kill out father. Great. Stated dark Naruto, guess I don't really have a choice, but I don't think looking like a carbon copy of dad would be a good thing in Kumo. How? Henge won't work, ninja would see through it eventually, even with our henge. Stated Naruto, you separated us by making me a new body with your chakra, meaning I can change my appearance to anything I want with the same process of making a henge. Stated dark Naruto as he grew a few inches, his hair turned into a darker shade of blonde, his red Rinnegan turned into dark blue eyes, the whisker marks disappeared and his jawline widened. Naruto, what was the name of the main character in that comic you loved? Asked Itachi, studying the entity that was the dark Naruto. Which guy? Danny or Jake? Flashback end, HMPH, and you gave me that shitty made up name. You know how much shit I took for that. It couldn't have been too bad. After all, you created a new Kage Tota, and don't worry, we will finish what you started. Stated Naruto, the other 4 cage level ninja were unsure what was going on, and Ivana was speechless after witnessing his star genin transform into a carbon copy of the very person he was about to fight. So you finally figured it out huh? About fucking time, 2 years to figure out how to beat me. Stated dark Naruto, do me a favor, make sure you use some of the skills I developed. Anbu. Go assist the other ninja in fending off the enemy, make sure that no one is within 1,000 feet of this tower, shouted Naruto as he locked eyes with his dark half, waiting for his Anbu to leave. The Anbu all took off, taking up positions around the stadium, though all of them had a good view of the fight on the roof. Suddenly, both Naruto's flashes through the same 15 hand seals and began to glow. Both shouted, Rinnegan art, creation of all things, fusion. There was a blinding light cast over the stadium, halting all fighting as everyone had to shield their eyes. Only the Hyuga were able to see 2 chakra signatures combine into one, extremely strong one. Now, let's get started, stated a deeper voice from within the dimming pillar of light. When the light was gone, there stood one being. It was 5'10", extremely muscular, spiky blonde shoulder-length hair that flowed wildly around his head and his eyes were now purple with black rings. He was Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, and he was now complete. Orochimaru had had enough of the light shows and distractions. His plans were already faulting because of this blonde brat, and he was going to put an end to it. I'm not sure what kind of jutsu that was brat. But today Orochimaru didn't get a chance to finish his threat, as Naruto appeared in front of him and nearly broke him in half with a punch before disappearing and reappearing behind the cage and delivering a brutal dropkick to the back of his head, using the wind shadow as a springboard to launch at Yagura, a lightning-style Rasengan aimed at the boyish Mizukage's face, but was blocked by a white, flat tail that had appeared from behind his back. So, you have full control. This is going to be interesting. With Itachi, you very skilled. Though I must question why you haven't used your eyes yet, Itachi Uchiha. Questioned Utakata, breathing hard and sweating heavily. Itachi pulled his mask off, revealing his coal-black eyes. Simple, I don't need them. Stated Itachi, his eyes meeting the Jinchurikis, before Utakata felt all the power leave him. What have you done to me? Questioned Utakata as he fell to his knees, his head pounding and his heart racing. What I did does not matter. It's what you're about to do that does. You're going to tell me everything you know. With Naruto, that's quite the feat. To improve the already deadly Hiraishin to the point that you no longer need a kunai. Stated the wind shadow as he spread gold through the air around him. Though it still has the same flaw. Your father needed his kunai by his opponent to use it. You however need to expel your chakra around your target, meaning that as long as my chakra hold the air around me, you can't get close. I never expected you to have such great control over not only metal, but also chakra. Stated Naruto as he struggled to hold his last kunai as he dodged swipes from Orochimaru's grass cutter and punches from a supercharged Raikage while Yagura was recovering after tanking a plasma bomb jutsu, having shielded himself with his tails. Stay still brat, shouted Orochimaru as he once again sliced at the young champion. I've killed you twice you freak. You're worse than Danzo. At least he doesn't upchuck a new body every time you kill him. Shouted back Naruto as he let the kunai he was holding go, completely disarming himself as the last of his weapons were sucked away from him by the walking magnet. I said stay still, shouted Orochimaru as he summoned snakes from his sleeve, wrapping around the blonde. Sorry snake face, but I don't swing that way, and I'm really not into bondage. Shinra Tensai. The snakes blew off the blonde as Orochimaru and escaped across the roof sending chunks of tile flying. Having created the space needed, Naruto began swirling bluish-white chakra in his left hand and took off towards Yagura. Let's see the ultimate shape and elemental manipulation. Plasma style. Supernova. Yagura's eyes threatened to leave his head as he watched the blonde approaching with reckless abandon, the heat coming off the plasma ball distorting the air as he got closer and closer. Yagura formed his tails into a makeshift shield, praying that his tails could withstand another plasma-style attack. Just as Naruto was cocking back his arm, he disappeared and reappeared with the ball of plasma lodged in the chest of a shocked-looking Kage, who from the corner of his eye saw one of the kunai he had taken from Naruto poof and change into the legendary three-pronged kunai. The last thing the Kage saw was Naruto flash away before the glowing bluish-white ball in his chest exploded, taking out most of the building they had been fighting on and vaporizing two of the four people holding up the barrier. With Jiraiya Yugito watched along with most of the battlefield in awe and fear of the outrageous light and heat that had just literally vaporized a large chunk of the stadium, and most likely, her cage. What the hell was that? It was like the sun exploding. Beats me, most likely another of Naruto's jutsu, but just to be safe, let's get you to the bunker, knowing my godson, things are about to get out of control. Stated Jiraiya as he led her to a compound on the other side of the village. With Sand siblings, I told him he would die if he helped in this invasion. Headstrong fool, Suna will be better without you. Stated Gaara as he went back to capturing Suna Nin and crushing Oto Nin. How can you say that Gaara? He was out father, shouted Tamari, unable to believe that the kind and calm Gaara that was introduced into their lives after the visit from the two strange ninja 3 years ago. He may have been the man that helped make me, but he was anything but a father. He was a fool that sacrificed me and mother to further his own power. Stated Gaara, continuing the capture and slaughter. Tamari stood shocked that her brother had hidden such hatred from them, but continued to aid her brother, forcing the issue to the back of her brain. With Naruto looked over the battlefield, his Rinnegan scanning the building he was just fighting on. He saw a sprint away. Even if he had fully powered up his armor to full, he was most likely near death after being near the epicenter of the blast. He sent a mental command to his Nakara path, aka his mother, to heal the Raikage. It wouldn't be good for two Kages to die today. Then there was Orochimaru. No doubt he found some way to survive the explosion, but what shape the snake Sannin was in was debatable. He was bought out of his musings after he felt a huge spike in chakra and watched the broken form of Yagura transform into a giant turtle with 3 tails, its left eye shut in a purple underbelly. Naruto watched as the giant turtle stood tall among the newly made gap in the stadium wall, looking around for whatever the Mizukage had targeted, most likely himself. The turtle opened its mouth and blasted a jet of water at a group of Konoha ninja that had been forming on the other side of the stadium. Naruto flashed in front of the group and erected a massive earth wall, blocking the water jet. He then transported to the giant turtle and flashed away, bring the gigantic turtle to Konoha's Central Park, knowing it would be the safest place in the village to safely transport the Biju, seeing as he didn't have much experience transporting other people, especially Biju, he tried to keep it somewhat safe. This is the only place within Konoha that has enough room. I wonder if Hashirama had ever thought that there would be a pissed off Biju here, thought Naruto out loud, preparing his chakra to summon Gamagaya. I hope he doesn't get pissed. Summoning Jutsu. Gamagaya, the earth shook as a towering cloud of smoke nearly blocked the sun from most of the village, easily towering over the Sanbi, and everything else in the village. When the smoke cleared, the world's largest toad stood before all of Konoha. While most fights had started up again, it seemed like time itself had stopped as everyone looked on at the giant turtle and even bigger toad. Naruto. I was about to ask why you have already summoned me. But I can see that Sanbi, or more likely his container, is attacking. I doubt you want me going all out here, so what the plan of attack? Stated Gamagaya in his deep and booming voice. Everyone within earshot had to consciously keep their eyes from leaving their sockets when they heard the Toad God say that Naruto Uzumaki of all people summoned him. Sorry to bring you into this, Gaia, but Kurama is still resting and Konoha would most likely attack him if I had summoned him. Can you bind him? I can take him out with one move if you can hold him still. Stated Naruto from the Toad God's head. Gaia moved with unimaginable speed and grace to escape the Sanbi, who had coiled into a ball and was rolling with great speed at the Toad God, tearing up land as it sped around the park. I see you're finally complete. Very well, let's swamp this pesky turtle. Gaia style. Swamp hands of earth. The ground around Yagura exploded skyward, latching onto the shell of the massive rolling turtle and slamming it down to the ground, pinning its tails. Get moving, kid, even I can't hold him down much longer. Thank you, Gaia. When this hits you need to get as far away as possible, maybe even Desuman. Stated Naruto as he backed up on the Toad God's massive head. He took off running and jumped high in the air, holding up a giant bluish-white chakra blade, easily 10 feet long, and began his descent towards the Biju mode cage, struggling to get free. As soon as Naruto left his head, Gaia jumped away, landing outside of Konoha's walls, on top of a snake that had been summoned by some Oto Nin, crushing the summon under his massive body. Yagura saw the blonde descending at him with what appeared to be a giant plasma sword. Knowing what this plasma style could do after watching his fellow Kage get vaporized by the blonde's earlier attack and taking one himself, Yagura began forming his strongest attack. Naruto watched in a strange mixture of fascination and horror as the Biju mode Yagura began forming what looked like a gigantic black and white Rasengan in his mouth. It turned into pure shock as the monstrous ball flew out the Yagura's mouth and at the blonde. With Itachi, I hope you know what you're doing, mumbled Itachi, until he remembered who it was he was talking about. Shit. With a, where the hell is Yugito? She wasn't strong enough to face Jiraiya, she should have ran. But where the hell is she? Questioned himself as he sped through Konoha at the highest speed he was capable of, which, seeing as his left leg and arm were little more than the bone and some muscle that made up said body parts, wasn't much. And I'm going to die from these injuries. Even with my lightning armor at full, that attack vaporized my left side. What is he firing at that's in the air? He better not miss, otherwise that might hit lightning country, shouted as he saw Yagura's tailed beast bomb rocketing skyward. Oh, it won't make it to lightning country. The most that will happen is it will get dissipated by Naruto. Said the jovial voice of a woman behind a woman he knew to be dead. Whipped around only to find himself face to face with a woman he never thought he would see again. KK Kushina. Kushina stood in an Anbu uniform, her mask on her hip. The one and only. Now let me fix you up. It would be a shame if I let you die. My son would be so pissed. With Gaara and company, Gaara. What the fuck is going on? Questioned Kankuro as he watched the giant black ball launch at the blonde that seemed hell-bent of falling into it. Gaara had a smile on his face as he watched Naruto descend towards the black ball of death. Uzumaki is about to finish this fight. With Sasuke had watched the fight from the top of the stadium. After being saved by Naruto, he made his way away from the medics to the top of the stadium to watch the remaining matches, only to be fined that the second he made it to the top of the wall, sand and sound invaded, as well as the K's, Ryan Mizukages. He stayed atop the wall, hoping that if Orochimaru was there then so would Danzo. He watched everything unfold, from the Suna Jinchuriki capturing his own people to his own brother fighting one of the visiting Kage's guards. His immediate thought was to go to his brother, though he was still injured, and knew he would just get in the way. All hell broke loose in his mind as he witnessed the Dobi fuse with the man who had almost killed him. His mind went even further into chaos as he watched the blonde go toe-to-toe with 3 Kages and Orochimaru. Even going so far as to dismiss his Anbu teams, which had taken up positions around the arena destroying anyone who was dumb enough to fight them. How fucking strong are you, Dobi? My brother could not have trained you alone. Who else helped you? Questioned Sasuke as he remembered Naruto vaporizing the red-headed Kage. At least I was right about Orochimaru. He's weak, he barely survived when that explosion went off, how can he give me power when he has none of it himself? Hello Sasuke-kun. With Orochimaru, there's no way that brat can survive a tailed beast ball. He will finally be out of my hair. Stated Orochimaru as he watched the blonde and the massive black ball rocket at each other. Unknown to him, there was a silent shadow following him as he retreated from the village. Soon, my mistake will be fixed. Naruto descended towards the black ball at an outstanding rate, his mind racing as his body plummeted towards the black ball of death. Fuck. I hope that this sword can take out the ball. My Shinra Tensei isn't strong enough to dissipate it would only deflect it back at everyone on the ground. Thought Naruto out loud as he was about to meet the ball. Plasma style. Blade of the Thunder God. Naruto's plasma sword grew to be almost 50 feet in length as he slashed at the tailed beast ball, surprising everyone watching when he went right through it like hot knife through butter, forcing it to become unbalanced, exploding and filling the sky with a ear-shattering explosion. Though because Naruto had his back to the blast, it rocketed him towards the still struggling Yagura who couldn't seem to get away from the hands of earth that bound him to the ground. Plasma sword style. Lateral bisection, shouted Naruto as he fought through the pain of having a tailed beast ball explode at his back and slashed at the Biju, forcing as much power into his hands as he could to assure the blade made its way through the giant turtle. The blade hit the back of the massive Biju, struggling to cut through the shell. Inch by inch the blade sunk in, Yagura was screaming in pain as his back was cut open. Suddenly, the shell gave out, the blade went right through the Biju, slicing it in half, along with a huge trench where the blade went into the ground. Naruto used what little sage mode chakra he had left after taking the tailed beast ball to cushion his impacted onto the ground, though he still felt a few ribs and his left leg break from the awkward angle he was forced to land with after slicing clean through the Biju. He looked up from his spot on the ground to see the 2 halves of the Sanbi shrink down, revealing Yagura, sliced in half from the top of his head, down. Hashirama. Tobirama. He was under a genjutsu. I felt it break before he died. Look into it. Madara, I think it's time we talked, stated Naruto to seemingly no one before he passed out. Around the village, 3 Anbu seemed to nod at something. Of the several shinobi that appeared around Naruto's downed form, Kakashi was the first to speak. Everyone saw that, right? I'm not hallucinating. No Kakashi, we all saw it. The only problem is, are we all hallucinating? Questioned Asuma. No, you are not. Everyone turned to see Itachi Uchiha, carrying a dead man, whose face was coated in blood. This man is Utakata, he was the Jinchuriki of the 6 tails. He killed himself after he saw the Mizukage die. He bit his own tongue off then activated some seal that seems to have liquefied his brains. Man, can this day get any more fucked up? Chapter 14. Aftermath. Part 1. Naruto awoke in a clean white room, laying on a very uncomfortable bed. Looking out the window he saw that it was midnight or close to it anyway, as there was no lights on, only the moon illuminating the darkness. He looked around, seeing an Anbu in each corner. You can all take your masks off, where are Hashirama and Tobirama? One by one the Anbu pulled their masks off, revealing Madara, Minato, Kushina and the Sandaime Raikage. Madara was the first to speak. Tobirama and Hashirama are surveying the village to get an estimate at the damage. You're going to need all the information you can get. Let the old man handle it, stated Naruto as he sat up, wincing from the pain that still coursed through his body. He looked at his right hand and saw that it was still blistered from the recent supernova. Damn, never thought I'd miss the furball so much. Even in Toad Sage mode I got damage from it. There was a somber silence from the paths. Minato and Kushina moved to his sides while the third Raikage moved in front of the door and Madara moved to look out the window. The Uchiha patriarch then spotting Hashirama bounding from rooftop to rooftop. Tobirama seemed content with just following his easy-going brother, who Madara watched cartwheel onto another building. Sarutobi is dead. Naruto. He used the Shiki Fuin to make sure that Orochimaru could never return. Stated Kushina. She herself was crying lightly. Sarutobi had been like a father to her when she migrated from Whirlpool. Naruto could do nothing but hang his head. I should have killed that fucking snake first. There would have been no way for that bastard to survive if I had vaporized him. When's his funeral? How long have I been out? You've been out about 8 hours, and Sensei said he was setting up the memorial in 2 days. Well, tomorrow, seeing as it's about 1 in the morning. Stated Minato, but there is something else. What? Did they already pick a 5th? Questioned Naruto, dreading it would be someone that would abuse the power. God save them if the civilians elected Sasuke. If that happened, Naruto would likely up and leave the village to its fate. Well, I'm now the only man in this room that's never lead a village. Stated Madara, his time a strange mix of pride and resentment. His student had made Hokage, though he never did. Naruto's eyes widened to epic proportions as he immediately knew what that meant. But I can't be Hokage, I have years of training ahead. Who would get it if I turn it down? Jiraiya said that he was offered, but recommended you. If you turn it down it will most likely go to young Hitaki or that fossil Homura, as he has been an advisor for almost 40 years. Stated the third Raikage. He always was very intelligent on a political level, though I doubt he is even Jonin level in power anymore. Damn, Kakashi wouldn't be horrible but if Homura becomes Hokage, stated Naruto. He began contemplating how he could get around having one of the remaining fossils become Hokage or even worse, one of the Sasuke lovers. Boy, you are a genius. No doubt about that. I have never seen a better mind in a fight, and yet somehow, the second you stop fighting you become like a 3-year-old. Stated Madara. Everyone in the room looked for him to continue. Madara sighed and face palmed. As of right now, you are the leader of this village. If you wanted, you could accept the title, immediately elect a new Hokage, then, retire, and leave the village. Or you could have an interim Kage watch over everything until you're done training. Yeah. I could have someone become the Rokudaime, stated Naruto, already deciding on who should be Hokage. Madara started smashing his head into the wall while muttering, I lost to him. I lost to him. I lost to him. Madara. What the hell are you doing? Asked Minato, worrying for the sanity of said path. Reconsidering death. Later that day Naruto sat behind the Hokage desk, his paths as his personal Anbu detail, the doors locked while his clones filed out tons of paperwork. Across from him sat Jiraiya and Itachi. The council had been trying to summon him all day, but he didn't care. As far as he was concerned, the council was obsolete. Alright. So Yugito is safe in my house, same with the former Kazekage's kids. Utakata killed himself. I killed Yagura, I killed Graham. A is still looking for Yugito and won't answer any summons, and other than a few ninja, the only casualty was the old man. Stated Naruto, his face and voice sad. Yes, Sensei died sealing himself and Orochimaru with one of the old Uzumaki clan seals. The funeral is set for tomorrow. I would like to get it out of the way. Stated Jiraiya sadly having lost the man he thought of as a father. How do you plan on covering up the death of 2 Jinchurikis, one of which was a Kage, along with the Kage and Orochimaru? I'm not. I would like you to use your spy network to spread word of how we absolutely dominated. Right now Konoha just showed its power to the world, so you will tell them I'm Hokage, that I single-handedly killed 2 Kage, injured a 3rd, and forced Orochimaru to retreat to his death. Until my replacement gets here, no one will be stupid enough to try and attack. Stated Naruto as he leaned back in the surprisingly comfortable chair. Then have a report go out I'm roaming the world to get even stronger, while a more politically minded person who is still as strong as the other Kages, runs Konoha in my absence. No one will be foolish enough to attack a village that just took on the combined might of 4 other villages and came out with only minor scratches. And I can still be here in a moment's notice if they do. Well thought out Naruto, but I must question, what are you going to do about Akatsuki? Questioned Itachi. He knew after being trained by Madara for the past several months, he could take most of them, but he was only one person. You are strong enough to kill any one of those idiots that try to attack here. It would be pointless though, as I will no longer be here. Stated Naruto, seemingly reading the older teen's mind. That is not what I meant. 2 Biju were just released. Anyway, even though Killer Bee is strong enough to protect himself, Yugito isn't, and neither is Gaara. Stated Itachi. That does cause problems. Stated Naruto, rubbing his temples in frustration. Jiraiya, go get Yugito, and Gaara, send them here. Meanwhile Tobirama, I want you to get Tsunade. Madara and Hashirama will go hunting for the other containers and the released Biju. My mother is currently helping the major surgeries in the hospital. Stop calling me that Gaki. Just cause you're Hokage does not mean I have take orders from you. Stated Jiraiya childishly, I'll have Tobirama use his first original jutsu on you if you don't. Stated Naruto seriously. Jiraiya's eyes widen and he jumps out the window. Unknown location, you had one job. And you fucked it up. Stated in enraged pain. And because of your failure, we now have to postpone our plans for at least 3 years. What was the point of risking exposure to complete our goal ahead of time if we are now set back more than ever? There was nothing we could do. There was no way to interfere in the brat's fight with Yagura, and the Rokubi killed himself before we could get there. Stated the hologram of Danzo, had Orochimaru not foolishly invaded, none of this would have happened. Toby thinks we should just figure out where they're reviving and get them then. Stated Toby, using wild gestures to explain his thinking. At this point, that's all we can do. Sasori, track down Deidara, then find the best time to take the Ikibi. Toby and Kisame, go to Kumo and try to figure out when the best time to take the Nibi. Kakazu and Danzo, gather more funds. Your failure yesterday needs to be corrected, and this shall make a good side project until I figure out what to do with you. Zetsu, go to Konoha and find out their losses and who they plan on electing as Hokage. Stated Pain. All members nodded and faded out, leaving only Pain and Konan left. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki is growing strong. He single-handedly fought off 4 of the strongest fighters in the world, killed 2 of them, and Orochimaru died not 2 hours later. Stated Konan. And he has the Rinnegan as well. Nagato, I don't know how to say this. He is capable of standing with me. Stated Pain emotionlessly. Konan flinched back as he said those words. He is capable of standing with me, but he cannot beat me. He is but one person, and I am a god. Any man can stand against a god, but no man can defeat one. He will fall to us, then I can rid myself of Madara, and the world will know true pain. Hokage office, brat, you will tell me right fucking now why the fuck I'm in here and where the fuck Yugito is, shouted A, starting to charge his lightning armor. He was not prepared however, for when Naruto got right up to his face and shouted back. I just lost my grandfather, had to kill 2 Kage to protect my village, found out that I was picked to lead this village while I was recovering, and now you expect me to have to deal with your problems while I'm trying to rebuild this village that you helped destroy. Sit your ass down and let me explain everything, before I'm forced to show you just how powerful I am. This was the scene that Jiraiya, Yugito, Itachi, and Gaara walked into. Yugito had her jaw hanging loose as she watched her overly confident Kage sit submissively in a chair that was far too small for his massive frame. Gaara was giggling at seeing his usually friendly blonde friend hovering over a man that seemed to be twice his size. Naruto-kun, please stop unleashing your killer intent on Asama. Even he cannot handle that. Stated Itachi, who was walking over to the window and leaned up against it, while Jiraiya led Gaara and Yugito to the chairs next to A, and finally took his place next to Itachi. Now that everyone is here, stated Naruto as his gaze bored into A's forehead. Yugito was in the bunker of my home with a few others that I wanted to keep safe. Had you answered the summons 3 hours ago you would already know that. A grit his teeth and took the jab. He may be a proud man but he knew when he was wrong. Gaara was now struggling to hold back his giggles, and it didn't help that Itachi was making lewd gestures behind the blonde. Little did Itachi know that the Sandaime Raikage and Minato were both still in the room using the chameleon jutsu to hide their presence. which meant that Naruto could see everything the Uchiha was doing through his father's eyes, though the Sandaime Raikage was studying his son. Itachi, your intentions with Ms. Yugito can be discussed after this meeting. Now would you please behave yourself? Questioned Naruto with a smirk. He watched through his path's eyes as Itachi went pale white and his eyes started darting around the room. If that will be all, I will be off. Stated A, hoping to bait the young teen into offering up an alliance of some sort. No, you want a treaty. You're just not sure how to ask for it after embarrassing yourself. Stated Naruto as A's eyes widened. Having his bluff turned around on him was not what he was expecting. Furby Sage, tell him. Sure Gaki. There is a group of S-class missing nin that are hunting down the Biju. It appears that they have already found out about you too. Seeing as you hold the two weakest Biju, you're most likely the first they will target, though now that the Sanbi and Rokubi are out in the open that might not be the case. Stated Jiraiya. Yugito was doing her impression of a fish while I was simply staring at his fellow blonde Kage. What are you saying exactly? I hate beating around the bush. Konoha offers a full military and trade alliance, plus we will not claim the reparations from war that you would have had to pay for helping in the invasion. Stated Naruto. What's the catch? Questioned A, though he had a bad feeling in the pit of his stomach. Yugito ni is to be permanently stationed in Konoha as the ambassador of Kumo as long as the alliance stands. Stated Naruto. Absolutely not. She would be in more danger here than in Kumo. Ground out A, doing his best not to kill the young blonde Kage. Do you see the two men behind me? They are Itachi Uchiha and Jiraiya of the Sannin. And one of them will be teamed with Yugito at all times outside of the village and she would live in my home while in the village. Stated Naruto. I still refuse. I can just as easily watch over her while in Kumo as you can hear. Stated and Naruto nodded. Fine. Gaara, Yugito, could you please step outside for a moment? In the hallway, you seem to know them all well. May I ask how? Questioned Yugito, speaking to the redhead for the first time. When I was 9 I was a monster, I killed just to prove my existence, used my killing intent to drive animals crazy, and I would always hide the television remote. Really sick shit. But two men came to Suna one day and found me about to kill a man. The older one stopped me while the younger one calmed me down. Turns out I had a faulty seal made by my father and placed by my great aunt Chio. They fixed my seal and the younger one gave me this. Stated Gaara as he pulled out a Hiraishin kunai. He said if I ever felt lonely, all I had to do was stick this in the ground and he would come. He always did, even if I had only called him 9 or 10 times. The younger one was Hokage-sama, wasn't he? Questioned Yugito. Please, Naruto may be acting as Hokage, but he has much bigger plans than that. He killed my pathetic excuse for a father, injured your Kage, and forced the most powerful Jinchuriki in the world to transform, all with one attack. He's much too powerful to be stuck behind a desk. My money is on Itachi running the village. Stated Gaara as he made 2 chairs from the sand on his back and sat down, gesturing for Yugito to take the other spot. So he really is that strong, huh? I heard a ninja of this village say something about him and Sragor combining or something, stated Yugito with a distant look in her eye, trying to wrap her head around the concept. Ah yes, Jake. Naruto was very proud of himself for making him, though I always thought that it was pointless. All it did was weaken himself. Though now that they are together again, it will be interesting to see just how much stronger he is due to the separation. Stated Gaara, talking more to himself than anyone else. Created him? Questioned Yugito, thinking, hoping that she had heard him wrong. You know of the Rinnegan, correct? Stated Gaara. Yes, everyone in Kumo does. Answered Yugito. It was one of the first things taught in the academy. Well, Naruto split himself using a power of the Rinnegan. From what I understand, he separated his dark half, and it stayed in Kumo. I don't know how it became the man you knew him as, but I can tell you that Sragor and Itachi behaved very similarly. Office Naruto had been staring at it with an unreadable expression on his face for almost a full minute. I know that your council has been up to things behind your back. I also know that you are not the heartless man you show yourself as. A, true to his nature, leaned forward in his chair and said, I know, you somehow managed to hide a clone of yourself in my village. You know things about Kumo that most of my shinobi don't know. What you don't know, is that I know about your eyes, about your paths and more specifically, my father. Uchiha compound. Sasuke was upset. He had already learned everything of the scroll that Orochimaru had given him. He had went out to obtain leg and arm weights some time ago, although he was upset that the chakra-less freakly could handle more weight than him. He had even gone so far as to request for several Jonin to help him get stronger, though the most he got was a low-level jutsu or two that he either already knew or didn't care to learn. Damn it. When is Itachi coming home? He's been at the Hokage's office all day. I should go there. Maybe Itachi has been elected the new Hokage, stated Sasuke aloud as he started walking to the Hokage tower, struggling to move at a normal pace after using up about half his reserves and the added weight he was wearing. I wonder if the Dobi wears weights. Kiri, May. You're never going to believe this, stated Ao, reading a report that had been delivered by a Konoha messenger hawk. What is it? Did Haku throw Senbon at someone's balls again? Questioned May. No. Yagura and Utakata are both dead. Yagura was killed in combat by Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze and Utakata killed himself after watching him fall. Stated Ao, not believing what his eye was reading. Give me that. Demanded May as she pulled the scroll from Ao's hand. Her eyes slowly widened as she read the battle report. Naruto. You did it. You actually ended the bloodline purges. Get me Zabuza right now. Or going to Konoha. Demanded May. Just how much have you grown, Naruto-kun? Later that day, Tanzaku Gai, Shizune. Where's my sake? Shouted a pissed-off blonde. You drank it all last night, Lady Tsunade, stated Shizune, sitting on the couch of the room. You were really upset about something. We had 3 days worth of sake. Stated Tsunade. The only thing that could possibly make me that upset would be. A knock at their hotel room door sounded throughout their room. Tsunade, still pissed off about not having any alcohol, opened the door and sent a punch when she saw a man on the other side. She was shocked when her punch was caught and there were red eyes staring back at her. How in the hell Hashirama had anything to do in making you? I will never understand, you two are nothing alike. Gee, granduncle. May I come in? My hand hurts from your punch and I'm tired of being around loud blondes. Stated Tobarama as he walked past her and sat on the couch next to Shizune. Nice room, too bad you're not going to be staying in it any longer. I'm taking you back to Konoha. How are you alive? Sensei said that you died holding off the Kinkaku force and that was something like 40 years ago, stated Tsunade, her voice trembling. The acting Hokage will explain when I get you back to Konoha. Get packed, your love interest is waiting for us. Stated Tobarama. He then looked to Shizune and gave a flirtatious smile. Hello, what's your name? Oto Kabuto was pacing back and forth with a disheveled look on his face. What am I supposed to do now? Orochimaru-sama wasn't supposed to die. The Kyuubi container should be dead and instead he kills 2 cages. If it wasn't for that brat, Orochimaru-sama would still be alive. At least I was able to recover Orochimaru's cells. I'd try to clone him but his soul is trapped in the Shinigame's belly now. Kabuto looked over some notes until his eyes grew wide and he began to grin. If I cannot have Orochimaru-sama back, I will combine his strength with my own. Bring me to Yuya, Jirobo, Kimamuru and Karen. Demanded Kabuto with a maniacal grin. You may have beaten Lord Orochimaru, but you will never be able to defeat me. Not once I combine all of his most powerful Kekkei Genkai. Iwa, Lord Onoki, we have received word from Konoha. What is it? If it's about that man then having a son, I already know. Stated the vertically challenged man sitting behind the desk in the Tsuchikage office. No sir, well kind of. This report says that Konoha was invaded by Suna, Oto, Kumo and Kiri. Stated the messenger ninja. Let me see that report. Demanded Onoki. He took it from his ninja and began to read. And he did not like what he was reading. Suna, Oto, Kumo and Kiri has invaded the Chunin exams. Konoha came out on top, losing minimal ninja. Sarutobi had died in a fight with the Rouge Sanin Orochimaru, who had also died. The Kazekage and Mizukage had both been killed by Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, who had seemed to have created a Kekkei Tota of his own that rivaled his own dust release. The Rokubi Jinchuriki was also killed, though it was unclear how. The Raikage was nowhere to be found, though it was rumored he was searching for one of his shinobi. That brat. He has surpassed his father. Send for my son-in-law, it's time we kill the Namikaze name once is for all. Hokage office. Hello Uchiha, how have you been? Asked Gaara emotionlessly as he prepared to stop the Uchiha from any foolishness he was planning. Is Itachi here? Questioned Sasuke. He is inside. We are waiting to go back in ourselves. Stated Yugito politely, though the second part of her statement fell on deaf ears as she watched the younger Uchiha attempt to open the doors, only to fail miserably. Why can't I enter? Demanded Sasuke. Because they're in a meeting. If Naruto doesn't want anyone getting in, then no one is getting in. Stated Gaara as he reclined in his sand chair. What does the Dobi have to do with this? Questioned Sasuke. Well, I'm currently acting Hokage. Hopefully you guys liked it, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one.